Hey ladies, welcome back. In today's episode, we'll be taking a closer look at the fascinating world of feminine archetypes. We'll be exploring 8 specific archetypes that represent how different women express their femininity. I'd love to hear from you in the comments, so let me know which archetype resonates with you the most. Grab a cup of coffee or tea, find a cozy spot to relax, and let's get started. The first archetype, and arguably one of the most popular feminine archetypes, is the siren. The siren archetype refers to a woman who is alluring, seductive, and captivating. This archetype is often associated with traits such as beauty, charm, and magnetism. In literature and media, the siren archetype is often depicted as a temptress who uses her beauty and charm to ensnare and seduce men. This, of course, comes from the story of sirens. In Greek mythology, sirens were creatures with the head and upper body of a woman and the lower body of a bird. In later Greek mythology, sirens were sometimes depicted as having the tails of fish instead of birds. They were known for their enchanting voices, which they used to lure sailors to their death on rocky shores.
Come and get it, ladies!
The siren archetype can also be seen as representing the idea of women embracing and owning their sexuality and sensuality. A popular example of the siren archetype would be Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe was viewed by some as embodying the siren archetype because of the way she used her sensuality and charm to captivate and entice those around her. Her public image was that of a beautiful and seductive woman with a breathy voice and an alluring demeanor that seemed to draw men in. She was often depicted in films and photographs in poses that emphasized her curves and feminine wiles, which added to her siren-like persona. However, it is worth noting that this image was largely a creation of the media and Hollywood, and not necessarily an accurate reflection of Monroe's true personality or desires. The actress, whose real name was Norma Jean, has explained how Marilyn Monroe was more of a persona that she would assume when required, as if she could effortlessly transition from being Norma Jean to embodying Marilyn. Ultimately, the siren archetype represents the idea of femininity as powerful and seductive. The second archetype is the mysterious woman. The mysterious woman archetype refers to a feminine character who is enigmatic, elusive, and intriguing. This archetype is often associated with traits such as secrecy, mystique, and allure. In literature and media, the mysterious woman archetype is often depicted as a woman who holds a sense of mystery and intrigue, leaving others curious about her motivations, past, or intentions. She may be seen as elusive or difficult to understand and often holds secrets that others are eager to uncover. In my eyes, the epitome of a mysterious woman is Monica Belucci. She is graceful, mysterious, and private, which adds to her intrigue on top of her already striking beauty. Whether on the screen or in real life, she has a way of captivating her audience with an alluring combination of elegance and mystery. Ultimately, the mysterious woman archetype represents the idea of femininity as complex and multifaceted, with layers of depth and complexity that are not immediately visible on the surface. The third archetype is the damsel. Most of us are familiar with the damsel due to the representation of this feminine archetype in nearly every Disney princess we grew up with. The damsel archetype refers to a feminine woman who embodies traditional traits of femininity such as beauty, grace, and charm. However, this archetype is often associated with the idea of a helpless or vulnerable woman in distress in need of rescue by a male hero, hence the term damsel in distress. Cinderella is a classic example of a damsel in distress. She endures mistreatment at the hands of her stepmother and stepsisters, finding solace only when her fairy godmother intervenes and Prince Charming assists her in escaping her plight, ultimately leading her to happiness. Bella Swan from the Twilight book and film series is also often viewed as a damsel in distress, as she is constantly in danger from various supernatural threats, and she is rescued multiple times by her vampire love interest Edward Cullen. And then of course Rapunzel. In the story, Rapunzel embodies many of the classic elements of the damsel in distress archetype. However, certain modern adaptations like the Disney animated film Tangled from 2010 have deliberately aimed to challenge these traditional gender roles. In Tangled, Rapunzel is depicted as a spirited and independent young woman capable of taking care of herself while still receiving some assistance from her male companion. Ultimately, the damsel archetype evokes a sense of needing rescue. This archetype's aura of vulnerability and fragility inspires a man's masculinity by igniting his desire to protect and take care of her. The fourth archetype is that of the carefree woman, a woman who lives life leading with her heart. She is carefree and wears her heart on her sleeve. This archetype represents fun, curiosity, adventure, and exploration. All men at some point in their lives have been or still are attracted to this feminine type that is optimistic, fun, and full of laughter. This type of femininity is attractive to men because it represents joy and youth. In a life that can sometimes be stressful, difficult, and serious, this type of woman brings joy into a man's life. This archetype is often portrayed as a young woman who is unburdened by responsibilities or societal expectations and who is focused on living in the moment and enjoying life. In order to live like this, a woman needs to feel safe, secure, and provided for. In a way, the carefree woman also embodies a daughter mentality, someone whose needs are already met, which allows her to live with optimism and a carefree attitude. In summary, the carefree archetype represents the essence of youth, a time when there were no worries or responsibilities, enabling one to effortlessly rest in their femininity and embrace the flow of life. The fifth archetype is the nurturer. Being a nurturer is a very important feminine trait, and majority of women have this quality within them. This archetype represents nurturing, caring, and unconditional love. Nurturers are sensitive, empathetic individuals who often make people feel understood and appreciated. Similar to how the carefree archetype represents the mindset of a daughter, the nurturer archetype represents the mindset and heart of a mother. The nurturer archetype is often depicted as a motherly figure who takes care of others and puts their needs before her own. She may be seen as a caregiver, a healer, a mentor, or a protector, and her primary focus is on creating a safe and nurturing environment for those around her. The sixth archetype is the queen. She carries responsibilities and is not afraid to lead. She speaks in a way that commands attention, and she usually has a humanitarian side as well. To me, a good example of the feminine archetype of the queen would be Zozibini Tunzi, Miss Universe 2019. Not only is she a literal beauty queen, but her entire essence embodies regality and elegance. She speaks in a way that commands your attention. She is confident, calm, collected, and inspiring, and even offstage, she still embodies these characteristics. The queen is often portrayed as a regal and dignified figure who is responsible for guiding her kingdom or community with grace and wisdom. She is a symbol of power and leadership and embodies the idea that women are capable of achieving greatness and making a positive impact in the world. The seventh archetype is the natural woman. The natural is a feminine woman who is easygoing with a genuine charm and a love of fun. They are comfortable in their own skin and often make others feel at ease. The natural woman archetype refers to a feminine woman who is grounded and down to earth. She is genuinely at ease with herself and with her life. In media, the natural woman archetype is often depicted as a woman who embraces her own natural beauty and who values simplicity and authenticity. Ultimately, the natural woman archetype represents the idea of femininity as a force of harmony and balance. This archetype emphasizes the idea that true beauty and happiness can be found by fully embracing and accepting yourself as you are. The eighth archetype is the godly woman. According to the Bible, you are fearfully and wonderfully made, and God's loving thoughts towards you outnumber the grains of sand. As a woman, your value is far more precious than jewels, and your worth is far above rubies or pearls. If you delve into the pages of the Bible, you will discover that it was actually way ahead of its time when it comes to the empowerment of women. Those who hold the belief that it's not empowering simply have not read the Bible nor understood it within the context of the time period it was written in, the 1st century Roman world. In a society where women were largely overlooked and denied opportunities, and in a time when it was only considered appropriate for men to partake in important matters, Jesus purposefully chose women to play significant and crucial roles, defying the societal norms and expectations of those times. Jesus repeatedly challenged the patriarchal system of his time and uplifted and empowered women on multiple occasions throughout his ministry. I could do a whole other video about this, but Jesus was actually the original rebel against the patriarchy, which is precisely why the leaders in those times decided to crucify him in the first place. So here is how the Bible describes a godly woman. You have probably heard of the Proverbs 31 woman. The Proverbs 31 woman describes a woman of noble character who is hardworking, resourceful, and wise. She takes care of her family and home, she manages her finances well, she runs her own business, she buys her own land, and plants vineyards from her own earnings. Her husband praises her, and her children arise wise and call her blessed. She engages in charitable work and speaks with wisdom and kindness. This is the essence of a true godly woman. The godly woman is far from being helpless, powerless, or weak. On the contrary, Proverbs 31 verse 25 says, "She is clothed with strength and dignity, and she laughs without fear of the future." I'd like to also quote Proverbs 31 verse 29. "There are many virtuous and capable women in the world, but you surpass them all." The godly woman speaks with wisdom. She has inner beauty. She walks with love and obedience to God. She is joyful. She cultivates virtue and good character. She serves others, and she lives life with purpose. Jeremiah 29 verse 11. "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Overall, the Bible emphasizes the importance of women having strong character and faith and virtues such as kindness, wisdom, and self-control. And that brings us to the end of our exploration of the 8 feminine archetypes. We've journeyed through some diverse and powerful expressions of femininity, but our journey doesn't end here. The world of feminine archetypes is vast and ever-evolving, so feel free to share your thoughts and insights in the comment section below. Which archetype do you relate to the most, and which archetype did I miss? Let's continue the conversation in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this episode and that you found it helpful. I'll see you in the next episode. Until then, stay fiercely feminine.